Welcome to the Temporary Insanity Podcast. Here are your hosts, Joshua Lewis Pereira, William McCoy, and Sierra Tansey.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Temporary Insanity. I'm your host, Joshua Lewis Pereira, and we are back with Mr. William McCoy and Miss Sierra Tansey. And what's going on, guys?
Not much. It's getting to fall weather, and it's been really rainy.
Summer really clocked out
Quick.
fast.
So I'm kind of like mid-hibernation mode. It was
September
like,
23rd. It was like, bye.
Summer's like, I'm on vacation.
You know what got me was the pumpkin spice. The pumpkin spice came out, and I was like, all right, apparently.
Early, too. It's early and early every year.
It came in like early August.
Yeah.
I started a vendetta with Starbucks because for those of you who don't know, or most of you do know, like I get my Starbucks in like every day, and like all of a sudden they're like, hey, Josh, today you can get a buy one get one. I'm like, sweet. So me and Nancy are in the car, and we're going to Starbucks drive-thru. I'm like, where's my buy one get one? She goes, only on a fall beverage. I'm like, but it's fall and I'm drinking my beverage, so therefore, by its very definition, it's a fall beverage. She's like, but it has to be like one of the pumpkin ones. But I don't drink pumpkin
pumpkin
stuff.
spice Starbucks right there.
I
even
don't
drink
mind
it.
pumpkin spice, but I don't drink it because I always get called a white girl.
I don't
I just
drink
like the
pumpkin
taste
spice.
of it. Why am I a white girl?
That's
But
the
I
same
have
reason why I
my-
don't drink pumpkin spice.
But I
They
have
keep
my
calling me a
usual
white girl.
beverage. I drink the same coffee like every day, and I'm like, but it's fall and I'm drinking it, so like this is discrimination
Yeah,
against
see,
my
so
my
they
beverage.
want there's a fall beverage, not a beverage in fall. It's in the fine print. That's how they get you.
So I was like, so no buy one get one, and I was like, I could have been, I guess, a Karen, or what do you call a guy Karen? Are they called a Ken?
It's a
Like,
Bob, isn't it?
No, they come with a couple names. I don't know what's like the official name. I've heard a few, but there's not enough men Karens for it to really.
I suppose if I really
Stick.
wanted to go inside and argue it, I could have
So
probably.
if Nancy got a fall drink, could you get your regular drink for free, or had it be a free
I
fall
don't know.
drink?
Nancy takes too long to order. She gets me irate.
I get the same thing every time I go to
I do
Starbucks.
too. Like mine is on like my preview. I just click it like within seconds, and then but like Nancy has to look at the app to like I'm like Nancy, and like so now I make her nervous apparently. So she's like, "You're making me nervous." I'm like, "I'm sorry," but it's like, come on, I ordered the same snack, the same drink. It's
I
like
got
pop, pop, it's
two
done.
coffees from Starbucks the other day. One from me and one from my father, and it came to $17.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, God forbid I take Aiden to Starbucks. Aiden wants the same coffee as me. Then he wants like a bacon. He wants a bacon Gouda, and then like two cake pops. So like whenever I go with Aiden, it's like $40 some odd every like to go through a drive-through. He's like,
Well, what's worse, that Aiden orders it or that you get it?
well, I'm a sucker. So like Aiden gets whatever he wants when we go out. But that's just the way I roll, I guess. But we're back. We're back, people, and we do apologize for the disruption in our schedule last week. Last week just did not work out. We did have plans to record an episode last week, but then it kind of went bananas between Sierra's schedule. She's become like quite the busy college student slash mom.
I have an update in my college dilemma.
Oh goodness! Well, we'll get back to that after I finish my formal apology to our listeners here, and then our beloved Moose, Haley's dog, finally passed, and he's been on his way. He's had heart failure for the past year or two, so we're going to be talking. Today's episode will be entitled "The Rainbow Bridge."
I feel bad for y'all, but I did not like that dog.
Well, me and Moose had like a love, and we're going to talk about love-hate relationship.
I used to hate touching that dog.
I mean, he was a cool Chihuahua because I mean he didn't really bark, but like I don't know, me and him had we had a weird relationship, but he was Haley's best. I mean, Haley got him when she was like 2 years old. So I mean, she literally has slept with that dog every day since she can remember. So I mean, it's been a rough week in the Pereira household. But he went peacefully. I mean, we didn't even get to the emergency room to put him down. I mean, he went into heart failure, and I was driving to the emergency room, and while Nancy was holding him in her arms, he just passed in the car. I mean, it's been a crazy time. Today's episode will be entitled "The Rainbow Bridge." Because one of the things that we've come to realize, especially nowadays, is they call them fur babies, I guess now. These animals, they become part of your family. We treat them like children. Lord knows this dog for the past few years has cost me more than my kids' health insurance because it's like buying heart medications and, you know. So that's today's topic. But before we dive into this, we do, now that you mention it, I need this update.
It's not a bad update. It's actually a good update.
Sweet. So they're gonna let you. They're gonna let you walk this month, or
No, unfortunately
that
not.
would have been sweet. Like,
I'm going to be done in December now, actually.
yeah.
No, but someone in one of my classes actually brought it up because I was explaining my whole dilemma to her, and she goes, "Well, why don't you just take a class during winter break?"
Wait. Time out. I'm pretty sure we could play back the tape if we have to.
Did one of you mention this?
I did. When you
Yeah.
were giving us the rundown, when you were talking about and you were distraught and you were tearing it apart.
I do not remember this. If you
I
did,
said,
I'm sorry.
I said this to you. I says, well,
Then you can
why
have
don't you take a winter class? Because the winter classes are only like 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
Then you
They're
can have the credit.
They're much abridged. Because I am an alumni from your college.
Then you can have the credit.
And I even said this to you in the sense that this is how we used to cheat the system. We used to take the most horrible classes in the universe. If there was one that we knew would be very difficult to pass during the regular semester, I would take it in winter break because they had to abridge it so much because it was such a short period that it was a little bit easier. I mean, it was hard because you had to do it all in such a short time frame, but it was
Yeah,
much easier
because
to
I
cut
think
it down.
they start the day after New Year.
Right.
New Year's. So it's like, and usually school starts again like January 18th or something.
They do it very quick. It's
So
like
quick.
it's like you literally you do
Sorry.
it very, very fast.
That's why I'm hoping like maybe they go to art class. I can just scribble.
Scribble for a
Right,
couple
so
of weeks and get an A.
and it's done. And it's done. You get the credits. I mean, it's a crazy few weeks, but you get it done fast, and then you can kind of you coast
So I'll
right
probably do 1 or 2 then, and then I'll just have to take the 4 that I usually have to take,
Then you'll be good.
and then I'll be good. And I don't even have to take the summer class.
I can see why you forgot, because I think right after that comment, we started talking about I should take golf for your electives.
Probably.
So then we just went off on a tangent on the silly classes you can just
See,
take.
golf to me was one that you never took during the summer or the winter because you wanted that green pass for the
I
whole
don't
semester.
know if they
so
have golf anymore.
it was only 1 credit. So I mean, golf was, but like again,
I'll just learn how to play the trumpet in 3 weeks. I'll take a
There you
music
go.
class or something.
There you go.
but that's awesome. I mean, yeah, I think you'll do fine. You're gonna do fine.
I
So
did call the financial aid office though today. I was like, "Hey, how is this like covered under my spring aid, or do I need to like fill something out?"
yeah, I mean they'll work it out.
It's covered under spring, and usually I have enough like overbalance.
That's what I was gonna say. You should have enough overage on yours where it'll pour.
This means
into
I won't
something.
get that check at the end of the semester.
It's okay. You'd
It's
rather
going
get that.
towards your education. It's priceless.
Get it done so that you can just get that paper. You want to get that paper so you can just walk. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I don't even get the paper when I walk.
Well, no one gets it. Could you imagine trying to make sure everyone's diploma like was
Yeah.
inside the right everyone just gets a blank thing.
chaos.
They
I
mail it
can't wait to
everybody.
walk the stage and then dip. Like, bye.
Right after.
Bye. I'm done.
Ugh.
Peace, love going to like McDonald's or something.
McDonald's.
Are you gonna
Just
do-
do Wendy's.
Didn't we establish I like McDonald's more than Wendy's?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that Wendy's still isn't better. But I digress.
Are you gonna do like the whole like gap year thing, or are you gonna go straight into it?
I'm not doing a gap year. I'm doing a gap semester just because I have the whole wedding thing. That's gonna be like a month I have to take off.
True that. So I mean, I don't know. I understand why people do the gap year, and I understand why people take that time off. But like honestly, like
I mean,
it's tough, man. Like you take a year off of school, and then you dive into like once you're like conditioned to do what you're doing, like just rip it off like a Band-Aid, man.
do you
Like, just
need
get
to
it
go
done.
to law school, or if I like study enough and then pass the bar?
Pretty sure you have to do. The
No, I
whole-
have to go to law
I'm
school.
pretty sure you have to do the law school thing.
'Cause I feel like if I study for the bar and pass, they'd make an exception. They'd be like, unheard of.
If
Okay,
you can go in there
wait
and
a minute.
argue it, that would mean you'll be a great lawyer.
Have
Like,
you watched Suits? Like, are you trying to pull?
Oh,
like,
is
are you-
that
are you
what
trying-
happens? I've actually never
in
seen
Suits. He just
Suits
never does
before.
anything. He's just a fraud. But it's like, but I mean, it's a great show. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite
on my list.
series. Like Mike is the man in Suits. Like doesn't.
That one's on my list. Gotham is on my list.
Oh, you gotta watch
Gotham
Suits.
is good.
Suits is fantastic. Actually, which is weird because Suits came out of nowhere. Like, so Suits is like mad old.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, out of nowhere,
It's
like
popular
it's
again.
like the most popular show right now.
Oh, I
like,
thought it was new.
it's a good show.
no. It's,
Did they
it's
like
really
make a new
old.
season or something?
No, it's been off the air for a while, but it's one of USA's greatest hits. like like even when you watch it, you can be like, oh, this is kind of
It
old
was like
school.
it was like up there with like the original like NCIS for like,
Yeah.
the
That's
USA.
kind. I was gonna say it's kind of like those cop shows that like are off the air for years and people are still watching.
Then all of a sudden people revive like I guess like writer's strike, so people are just like like I watch.
I
Suits-
think that ended.
It's not ended yet, but I guess they're coming. It's gonna end soon because they're coming up with some kind of plan.
people are like, yeah, well we
Getting our
can't not
shows
work
back.
anymore. Like
Okay, I need my money.
yeah, so
Standing outside with the sign isn't making me the bills. All right.
I get it. I
Back
mean,
to animals.
But yeah, you should watch Suits, and you could kind of research and be like, maybe you could be like Mike, and
Maybe.
Mike made the money for being a lawyer without being a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? like,
So funny. I feel like I could do it.
so all right, let's dive into so Sierra, outside of her love for law and arguing, Sierra is a passionate animal person.
I work at a pet store.
She works at a pet store. I mean,
I did work at the animal shelter.
where you
Oh,
got
yeah.
the spawn of Satan.
This is where I got the spawn of Satan.
Ah, yes, the demon cat, right?
Demon cat.
We love demon cat.
Do we though?
I
Something-
love
well,
my
until it
demon
turns to a
cat, but at
demon.
the same time, if someone wants him, I will give him to you.
I don't love
As
him
long
that
as I
much.
can still see him.
So you heard it here, and this is more for your parents and for you heard it here. It's recorded. It's archived. If someone wants Demon Cat, as long as she could visit, it shows. So
I told Josh in the car, if I know you and you really want a cat, I will offer
and you
up
give her
Wyatt.
you give her custody rights, visitation.
Yeah,
visitation.
I just need visitation.
Because I'll be honest, like it makes it difficult for me to visit Sierra because I'm allergic to Demon Cat. So like they have to like.
You're very allergic to demon
So they have to. I have to like pop all kinds of like antihistamines, and then
Like Josh just like can't breathe in the corner and all
yeah.
this.
Your parents are gracious enough to try to like vacuum the heck out of the couch before I get there. Like they're like vacuuming and stuff. Like then Demon Cat knows that I'm allergic to him. So like
So Demon Cat, a little backstory. He was very loving and nice in the animal shelter, and I am the only person that liked him. And
played you.
I'm the only person,
con artist.
and
Like a
I'm
demon
the
would.
only person that he liked. So I guilt tripped my parents into letting me bring him home. They were like, no, and I was like, but Mom, they're gonna send him to a barn to be a barn cat, and he can't be a barn
he would have
cat.
lived his best life there.
I was like, he can't be a barn cat. You haven't met him. I know this cat, and he's gonna die out there. So I guilt tripped my parents, and they were like, fine, you can get him. And I was like, awesome. His original name was Fred. I renamed him so fast to Wyatt, which I also kind of regret because who names a cat Wyatt?
You
I do.
you do.
And now he's just mean, and he hates my child. He's so.
Well,
he bites people.
He was a con artist because he was all loving to you until you got him home.
So Wyatt's issue is he does like affection and he does like attention, but he gets overstimulated really quickly. And instead of just walking away, he attacks you. So you
bites
stop
people,
touching
yeah.
him.
Cuts you. He
Scratches
He
you.
will cut you. He is literally this. Sierra, I recall. Okay, the incidents.
He's
in
a very
which-
pretty cat,
In
though.
which
is,
in which
actually.
all of a sudden, yeah, most evil things are like
He's
you
all
know?
white, and then he has like a little like calico like patch in his ear.
If we recall, scripturally speaking, if I want to bring this to the Bible, Lucifer is supposed to be a very beautiful angel that was fallen. I'm just saying. I mean,
And he has green eyes. He's a very pretty cat.
I'm just saying. I'm just telling you straight up. This cat played you. I recall after you get said cat picking you up for lunch one time, and I'm like, "Why you all cut up?" And like, "Demon cat."
My cat's mean. He hates Ethan, but to be fair, Ethan torments him to no end. Ethan throws toys at him and throws balls at him and whacks him with things. And earlier, like Wyatt was just chilling on my bed, and Ethan just went up to him and pushed him off the bed.
Oh, because Ethan's a good judge of character. Ethan knows that cat is evil.
I think Ethan's just kind of rude to the cat.
But you know what? You can't mess with Ethan.
I think Ethan sees how Wyatt treats other people, and is like, "Well, this is how Wyatt wants to be treated."
Ethan is looking for justice. Ethan is a justice person. See, like, you know, but it's funny because one of the reasons I wanted to have this episode is because we've come to a society, like, let's be real. People and their animals, okay? Now, a little backstory about me, okay? And y'all can attest to this because I have only very recently become like an animal person. Am I correct in this statement? I mean, because
Yeah.
prior to so I've had animals. Don't get me wrong. I've had plenty of animals. I mean, I had a really cool cat named Tigger. Tigger was he was literally like Garfield. the cat. I
Yeah, he's the orange. Tigger's the orange one, right?
he was the orange one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Tigger was like, you can pet
Obviously,
me if you want to pet me. Like he was like, he would just go into his space, mind his business. Like Tigger was, but here's the thing. Again, highly allergic to cats, right? My mom had an option: keep the cat, get rid of the cat.
Keep the cat, get rid of the son.
So what does she do instead of getting rid of the cat? Puts the son on all kinds of medications for his allergies. They kept the cat, you know what I'm saying? But it was cool because this cat was not demon cat. This cat was super cool. But so we've had animals, but I never had like that emotional attachment to animals until recently. And if you ask my friends, two of which are sitting here at the table, I used to make all kinds of very insensitive animal comments, like when I got me and Nancy, when we got together, we get this dog named Tex. Tex was my boy. Tex, I love Tex. Tex was with us for like 18
Miss
years.
Tex.
And so when we got Tex, it was the type of thing. Now Nancy was complete opposite for me. Nancy had like this complete love. She was like animal advocate, like to this day. She loves animals. She's like Dr. Doolittle. And so we get Tex.
Nancy used to work at the same store I do.
Yeah. She's except when they used to be able to have dogs. So
Yeah,
she's
except when they actually had animals.
So she used to be the cleanup crew. But so we get Tex. And the first thing we do is we go to the vet, and I've told my friends, and a lot of you are going to be like, this is horrible. Like, you're going to think I'm a horrible human being. I've completely changed. I've done like a complete 180 here. But like the first thing I did is we go into the veterinary's office, and we had to do it because Nancy's like, well, we have to take it to the vet. The first thing we got to do is take him to get checked out, make sure that it, we have to get him like fixed and all that stuff. He was a free dog. I got him for free from a friend of mine. And the first thing I asked the vet comes out. This place looks very high end. I'm like, oh, this place is out of my I'm a teenager. Like I don't have a lot of money. And the vet comes out, and the vet's about to take him to the back. And I said, stop. And I asked him very clearly. I says, before you take my dog to be treated, I need to ask you, how much would it cost to put my dog down? And the vet said,
first question.
That was the first question. And the vet looks at me with a very serious face. Why? Is your dog ill? Is something wrong? I'm like, no, I'm just curious. I just need to know. And now you're going back a long time. It's probably been 20 years now because Tex has been he's been over the Rainbow Bridge, as they call it now, for a couple of years. But the vet says like $40.
Imagine.
$40, huh?
So I looked at Nancy, and I looked at the vet, and I looked at Nancy. And Nancy's like, why are you asking this? I says, Nancy, if you ever walk into this office and the vet tells you that it's going to cost more than $40 for the treatment of this dog, that's option A. And everybody looked at me like I was a horrible human being.
That's a crazy statement to make.
So I went from...
That's a pretty wild statement.
I went from that kind of relationship with... Because to me, an animal was just an animal, right? So this thing with like the fur baby mentality. Now,
I'm shocked.
It's $41 for medicine. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, buddy.
39, cutting it close.
So-
You're lucky, dog.
so we had Tex for Tex was like my first real, because the cat was in the house, but the cat was like our childhood animal. Tex was like my first real pet with Nancy. And then Tex kind of changed me a lot. But Tex was also like a cool dog. But Tex was not a needy dog. Tex was like one of those dogs like...
I used to sit in the corner with Tex.
Yeah, but you didn't have a Tex. Tex was kind of like, if you wanted to be pet, he'd come around you. But like, he wasn't like really the lap dog type.
No.
He was kind of like, he had his space. Like when he wanted to be pet, he'd come around. Then he'd kind of like, but Tex was kind of like, he just chilled. Like, then he'd go outside and just kind of do his thing. He'd come inside, do his thing. And then when Tex was 18 years old a couple of years ago, it came to a point where we had to do what was right, and he was suffering, and we had to take him to be put down. And that's when there was like this awakening of this emotion that I never knew existed inside of Josh. And this is when all my friends were like, "Yep, that's the one." That's where I understood this fur baby mentality that people have, where it's like, "Wow, this creature was like part of my family," And now I have Zoe, and I go from that mentality with Tex like 20 years ago to Zoe literally sleeps in my bed every night between me and my wife. Like I treat her like a child. I am like the biggest fanatic for my dog. It's ridiculous. I buy her things like a child. I talk to her like a child. I spoil her. She's insured like a child. She has doggy insurance and stuff like that. So we live and it's funny because we live in a society where we treat our pets like humans. And then we go through this time where they become such a big part of our lives, And I didn't understand what it was to grieve the loss, but it's different when we grieve the loss of a pet than when we grieve the loss of a human. Because, when we talk on this program, we talk about, salvation and all that stuff. And when we grieve the loss of a human, I could give you like the comfort of being like, hey, but you know what? It's temporary and the trumpet's going to sound and we're going to meet our Savior in the air. And, the grief over an animal is a whole different, it's a whole different thing. And yeah, I've experienced that again this past weekend on a different scale because unfortunately me and Moose weren't tight like that. We had this very kind of like love-hate relationship. Like I had nothing against Moose. Was a cool dog. I mean he was a Chihuahua, but not one of the ones that barked like crazy. He was kind of cool. Like,
as for a Chihuahua, he's a top tier Chihuahua for sure.
Yeah, I mean he was cool, but like he just was he was my daughter's best friend.
See, I'm always like, I get emotional over my pets. I get emotional over other people's pets. I get emotional over pet videos I see online. Those coming home videos with soldiers and their dogs, I sob for hours. I can't. I literally paid $300 to give surgery to a hedgehog. Okay, it does not matter. I will try it.
That hedgehog was cool. I mean, it was kind of a crazy thing because we had to meet a lady in a parking lot behind the store to get the hedgehog.
When I was 16 or 15, technically, I wanted a hedgehog so bad. I went through this hedgehog phase where I liked a cat. Like I was following hedgehogs on Instagram. I don't know what about them. I went through a phase, and then I kept begging for months to have a hedgehog, and my parents were like, absolutely not. Small animals are disgusting. And then Josh and Nancy buys me a hedgehog for my 16th birthday, and I was over the moon. And I loved her, and her name was Holly. And she had a tumor in her eye because she was already pretty old when we got her. Hedgehogs only have a lifespan of like 4 years, and she was already 2. So, like, she was already pretty old, and she had, like, a tumor in her eye, and then, they were like, well, she's not going to last very long. We can just euthanize her, and I'm like, absolutely not. You're going to do surgery on this hedgehog, and you are going to take her eye out, and you are going to save her, and they did, and if you ever want to see a hedgehog on anesthesia, hit me up. It's really funny.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, so, again, this was, like... I knew nothing about hedgehogs. All I knew is that Sierra wanted one badly. So we go on the hunt for a hedgehog. We had to find a hedgehog breeder. And then the hedgehog breeder was like, yeah, I'll sell you a hedgehog. She's like, meet me in the parking lot behind the Stop and Shop.
And I got the mom hedgehog. I got the hedgehog that was being bred.
Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting experience. And she's like, so we pull up, and it was kind of like she flashed her lights at us, and we flashed our lights at her. And we're like, what's up? It was like... looking back, it was very interesting how we got the hedgehog. But Holly the hedgehog, she was cool. I mean, and then of course we did up the whole hedgehog thing. I mean, because that became your reputation. You were the hedgehog lady for a while.
I was the hedgehog lady. Because how many people do you know have a hedgehog?
You're the only one that I knew had a hedgehog.
It's people come into work and like have all these questions about hedgehogs, and my coworkers have to give them to me because they
we're experts in the back.
No idea anything about them. But I was actually just telling Justin how I wanted to get another one, and he was like, "Well, maybe when we move out." And I was like, "That's probably fair. Wyatt might eat it."
But now
Wyatt would definitely.
But I'm taking Wyatt with me. I'm taking all 3 of the animals with me.
Really?
Yeah, it's because Joey's new job. He can't really. He's going to be traveling a lot, so he doesn't think it would be fair for Cannoli.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, you can either take him or I'm going to have to give him up. And I'm like, okay, I'll just take him. I've already had him for this long. But so now I'm going to have 3 pets going right into it.
So you kind of got the... you're going to have a lot... I mean, but it's going to be rough.
A toddler, a cat, and 2 dogs.
So again, we're putting it out there. If you want a cat and you know Sierra, then you want to give her visitation rights.
Like my uncle and aunt came over the other day. My uncle was petting Wyatt and was like saying how much he missed like a cat, and I was like,
look at this.
You can have him. Have him. And he's like, do you like not want him anymore? I was like, oh no, I do.
You gotta like start like lying to him, like, oh, Wyatt's never this good
but
with people.
If someone else wants him more than I do. He's just so annoying. I love him. I love him to death.
What about you, man? Yeah, I mean, so Will's a fan of odd animals too. I mean,
I am a fan of odd animals.
Will loves chipmunks.
I would love to have a chipmunk.
Alvin and the
100%.
Chipmunks.
I mean,
Vibe with it.
when we go camping, we'll try to catch the chipmunks.
I do like chipmunks. I like lizards.
No, I don't like lizards. I don't
It
like the way they
depends.
walk.
Well, I don't know.
That's hilarious.
We've
man.
recently become the home of the bearded dragon.
Which I'm a
Gucci.
big, what I'm a
Gucci.
big
I
fan
hate
of.
that
'Cause I get
lizard. Gucci is
visitation
cool.
rights,
I
and I
hate
get to
that
go see the
lizard.
lizard. Because Rachel would not have a lizard in this house.
So we'll live vicariously through all of our animals somehow.
Yeah,
But you had animals though.
I
right?
had a cat named Boots.
Boots.
He was my little buddy. I got him when my parents got him when I was
That's the cat that was
young.
older than life itself, isn't it?
Yeah, he was like 16 when he died. But he was cool too. He was like, and that's why I think it's tough too, because like when you have like, a good pet, like you don't know like if the next pet's gonna be as good.
Yeah.
Because like he was the chillest cat. Like, he had his spot on the couch. He had his little blanket. That's where he lay down on the couch. He didn't really like knock things off like shelves or tables. When he wanted to be pet, he'd come around. When he didn't, he'd hop off. He'd take naps a lot. So like, so my parents would always, when I was a teenager, come back from in high school, they always make jokes because they come home, I'd be taking a nap on the couch, the cat be taking a nap on the couch. But you two are like the same. So like when he passed, it was kind of like tough. It's like, I was like, you gotta get used to like not coming home for a while and just seeing the cat on the couch and messing with the cat. So and then you don't really understand because like you yell at pets all the time, right? Oh, why are you doing this? Stupid dog, stupid cat. Oh, you're making a mess. You're doing this, doing that. And then when they're gone, you're like, oh, well, I kind of miss the little quirky things I used to yell at the cat for, the dog for, the hedgehog for. So yeah, it's a weird.
Oh, that stupid hedgehog running on its wheel at midnight.
But now like, I'm sure you missed it for like the first week. It's like, oh man, I don't hear the stupid hedgehog running on the wheel at midnight anymore. So yeah, no, it's having animals is a weird like attraction you have, a weird relationship that you build, like a human to an animal that you can communicate with, but you can't speak with. But you
One
still have
thing
like
that,
that
like,
deep bond with for some reason.
Stresses me out about having multiple animals at once is like the attachment issues that they grow. Like Cannoli and Odie, I don't even think if Joey wanted to take Cannoli, I don't even think he could have. Because if we so we can't give Cannoli a bath at our house just because of how our bath is, because we have like the doors. So we usually take him to my job to give him a bath. Odie goes crazy.
Right.
For the hour that he's gone, he like cries, he whimpers. It's like the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, you think it's crazy, but it's like like so we leave the house all day. Since Moose has been gone. So Moose had a section of the couch that he would lay on pretty much all day, and like now while we're gone, you see Zoe, especially like the first few days that Moose has been gone. Like Zoe goes and she's like depressed. She's like depressed, like that her friend is gone. Like she goes and she lays on like on top of his blanket where he used to lay on, or like yeah. So it's like but and it's funny because it's like I don't know, and I'm not gonna try to make this something religious or because let's be real. I mean, God created animals for a purpose, and I mean. Some people look at it and they look at Genesis and, and in creation, God creates all the animals and God creates the heavens and the earth. And then God puts Adam and Eve in the garden to tend and care for it. So, I mean, clearly God creates man to take care of animals, right? Or in Proverbs 12:10, it says, the godly care for their animals, but the wicked are always cruel. So, I mean, clearly animals play their part for many different reasons. But, like, then you see, like, you see like Zoe, for instance, like my dog Zoe. Sometimes, man, I'm just having like the craziest day, and it's like I feel like the whole world is just like literally, like, for the lack of better terms, going to hell in a handbasket. Like nothing's going right. I'm stressed out. My anxieties are going nuts. And then I come to the house, and this dog is like literally at the door, howling for me. Like she hears my truck, and you've heard the sound she makes. Like literally, it's like a cry, like of excitement because I'm there. And then like I come in, and it's like so excited that I'm walking in the door, like that greeting. And it's like these dogs have like, or these animals just have a way of just melting your heart. And it's like, and then she just wants to love you. Like she just want like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that humans don't love you the same way, but it's just like this way about it where they just tend to have a way to make you feel better. And it's like sometimes you wonder, like, did God put these companions on earth to kind of help us through like the nonsense that we have to drudge through, like on our way, like through this journey of life. Like, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so out of my three animals, Cannoli is kind of like the love bug out of all of them. I always call them like the crackhead, the sweetheart, and then the jerk. Wyatt's the jerk, Odie's the crackhead because he doesn't sit still, and then Cannoli's the sweetheart. So like if you're having a bad day, Cannoli will just kind of come up to you, lay his giant head,
Slobber on you a little
giant
bit.
slobbered like bowling ball size head on you.
Oh, he's the size of a linebacker.
So big. And then he just kind of chills there. And then Odie will jump on him and jump on you. And then he'll like, Wyatt will probably like try to slit your throat. But,
But in a loving way.
in a loving way.
Because you pet him for 2 seconds too long. So
He's like, did I give you permission to touch me? But all three of them have very different personalities. So you want to hang out with them at different times. Like,
Well, and then it's funny because like you look at them and they're just like they have this innocence about them, like right, like so in our house we tend to rescue. So and there's always been a project. She was probably like, so Tex was our first rescue. It took us a couple of years to get him to work with him. Zoe, we're going into our third year working with her. I mean, and she was a big time rescue, but it's like, and you see like, she still has like that loving personality about her. But then you see like how people can just, be cruel to creatures. Right. And it's like, I understand that there's a necessity, and I'm not. And don't get me wrong, I'm not. Listen, I love my beef. You know me, I'm a carnivore and stuff like that. I'm not trying to tote like the PETA line or any of that. But like these innocent creatures that people just go about their way and try to beat on and try to like do these crazy things to, and it's like you just don't understand. Like they look at you with those eyes, and you're kind of like, how could you do this to them? Then there's the opposite extreme. Let's be real. I mean, like I don't know if, like, and I'm kind of surprised Haley didn't do this with Moose in particular. But like like you go walk into a store and they have like the stroller with the
people come in with their dogs and strollers all the time, and I was like, come on now.
Oh, like the stroller, or like the Legally Blonde, special purses, or like, and hey, cool, power to you. I'm not dogging you. Or like the 250-pound hipster, like the built guy with like
the little chihuahua.
Little chihuahua.
That sounds like the collar with the spikes.
Yeah.
It's like, pick one, man. What are we doing here? I mean, yeah, people. I think people project a lot through their pets too. I think that's why. And I think you can see it across the scale. If someone wants to like baby something all the time, they'll put their dog in a purse or in a stroller or in ridiculous clothes to just go outside. Or on the unfortunate opposite spectrum, if people have a lot of anger and they can't pick on someone their own size, they'll take it out on an animal who has like that like childlike unconditional love for a person who who they become attached to, and then they beat on an animal because it makes them as a person feel strong or big for some reason. So I think it's just a lot of people just reflect what they want on a pet, which 9 times out of 10 is, a good thing or a weird thing, but there's always that like 1% that goes awry.
And I won't pick on it too much because I'll be like I said, because Will, if I do recall correctly, I mean you are a big fan of the leashed cat, aren't you? Like
I think that's fascinating.
Someone brought in a leashed kitten into my job yesterday.
I saw it once somewhere, and then I was like, that's like I've never seen it before. And then we went camping. And I forgot if it was you or Joe. I was like, oh, yeah, no, someone has a leash cat here. I said, there's no way. And then I saw the leash cat. I'm like,
I actually saw it a few
it.
weeks ago when I was at my camper at my seasonal spot. I saw another guy with it. Actually, they had the cat on the leash, and they let it off the leash, and then the cat kept running under my camper. And I'm like, hey, man.
Hey, man.
Put your cat on a leash, please.
I'm highly allergic. And you don't want me to let Zoe out. No, Zoe's actually really chill with other animals. She,
Joey is still very bitter with Zoe.
She was abused by a young guy.
Zoe has bitten my brother before, and he's still so bitter.
Listen, like I said, Zoe's from Arkansas. She was shipped up here from Arkansas. We've established that she was abused. They chopped her tail off with not a clean instrument because clearly you could see like the bone still popping out. We've established that she was. I think they were trying to make her like a fight dog. And whoever was doing it was someone of young age, a male with, the beard, and they used to wear hats because she has something against young men with the beards and hats. But on the flip side, like Sierra, snuggled with her every night while we were in Vegas and
I was not supposed to do that.
totally broke my crate training. I mean, so.
Okay, so I dog sat this dog while they were having their family vacation in Vegas. And okay, to be fair, I slept with my dogs every night. I was sleeping in not a stranger's house. I knew them very well, but I was sleeping in a house that wasn't mine. And I was like, I'm just doing it.
Was like Goldilocks. I was like, Sierra, we have washed and changed the bedding in every bed in this house.
I literally slept on their couch every night
all
with
the beds
Zoe.
here. You could be like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You could choose which bed. The smallest bed in the house was a full size.
Nope.
You
I
had
slept
range,
on the couch. I slept on their couch with their dog at my feet every night.
But you know what? But then you created a bad habit for us because then I never in my life. William is my witness. William, you have known me for almost 20 years. I have never in my life thought, and anyone who knew me from back in the days when I took text to the vet for the first time, would you ever picture that I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna sleep with a dog in my bed This dog literally sleeps with me every night.
I just couldn't do it. I was like, I heard one noise outside in their backyard. I was like, I can't do it. I need something. I was like, hey, Zoe's got a little of an aggressive streak. If there's someone out there trying to attack me, maybe I just send her out.
Zoe's also a mom. So she had 2 litters. So basically, what we found out was that they dropped her off behind a Dunkin' Donuts with a box of her 2 litters of puppies. Pushed her out of the van and bounced. And it took them like 2 days to get her out from behind the dumpster. What's cool is we did that DNA thing with her, and we found out that like a bunch of her puppies are actually in like Massachusetts. So they shipped her and a bunch of her puppies up to Massachusetts. So a bunch of her puppies have been adopted up in Massachusetts. So I mean, but again, because she was so abused, if me and Nancy didn't adopt her, she was going to be put down. Because basically, they needed somebody with experience, breaking those habits. For those who know her well, I mean, so like our intimate friends group and stuff like that, I mean, she is the most mothering, you could tell she's a mommy, like she's definitely, babies in particular, like my nephew and stuff, like my nephew comes to the house and he takes a nap and she sleeps right outside his crib and she just watches and, so she's a very motherly dog, but you cross her, she'll protect the house, she's not, but so we've been breaking a lot of those habits, but,
It's like one or the other too. Like you either get a dog that's been abused who like kind of acts on those behaviors from like the trauma of being abused, and then, or you have like a dog where in that situation it just makes them afraid of the world. There was this dog at the animal shelter when I worked there. His name was Smiles, and he was a pit bull, and he was used as a bait dog in like fighting ranks.
Oh,
in dog fighting ranks. Sweetest dog ever. Did not bark. Did not he had no history of attacking people or attacking like children or other animals. Like he was fine with the other dogs. He was like literally the sweetest dog ever. And like the only thing is he did not want to go outside. He was terrified of walks. He was terrified of like going on walks or runs or playing in the little play. He just wanted to sit in his crate all day.
Well, but even with my Zoe, like my Zoe, she's big. She's a little bit on the bigger side, so it comes across aggressive. But with her, it's not an aggression; it's a fear. So out of fear, she tries to back. She reacts. But like honestly, that's what you get when you get an abused pet. But at the same time, what happens is if nobody take these abused pets, they deserve a chance. But who would have thought? I mean, and they just wormed their way in. I mean, Rachel's been trying. My sister's been trying to get a dog in this house, right? Will? I mean,
she has. She almost succeeded.
Got my list of hyperallergenic dogs ready.
Yeah. I found out I'm allergic to something with at least the dog that we tried to adopt, which wasn't fun. Even that was not a few weeks. And it was like heartbreaking giving that dog up. I was like, oh man, it's like,
That dog was adorable. And and you guys had the dog for how long?
a couple weeks, like a month maybe, it's like a month or so.
Was it? I can't remember it being that long. Was
You
it?
can get a
Yeah.
Samoyed.
What's a Samoan?
You'll know when I show you.
So
Oh, it's so fluffy.
run us
Apparently it's hyperallergenic.
Run us through the dog situation because this was heartbreaking. This and I felt for you guys and you guys. I mean, it was just horrible.
Well, she's been begging for a dog forever. I guess that's her thing. Like everyone else got to have a pet, technically like their pet growing up, but she never got to have her pet. So we moved in and stuff. And once we got settled, we were looking for a dog, and we found this dog. It was a terrier mix. I can't remember what it was mixed with. Medium-sized dog, which is perfect for me. Not a small Chihuahua, not like a huge like German shit. Perfect.
And
Huge
she
cannoli.
finally gets William to cave.
I caved in. I'm like, we can get a dog. We looked, we found a dog. I even named it, the name that we gave it, Coda. I came up with that name. So we got the dog, we brought him home. Day 1 was good. Day 2 was okay. And then like day 3 and 4, I feel like I was dying. I did not know why. And this was during like hybrid time during like work. So I was working from home and going to the office a couple days. So it seemed like the days that I was home, I would be like miserable. And then the days I went to work, like I couldn't breathe. Like my appetite was gone when I was home. But when I went to work, I started like, I can breathe more. I didn't feel like run down. And so I was like, we tried to figure out, I was like, I don't know what's going on. It's like, I've never had this happen to me before. I don't really have allergies like that. But apparently now I am allergic to something, but I don't have allergies. So I try to like figure it out. And I went to my doctor. I was like, this is what's going on. I don't know what's happening. And she was like, well, what's like changed? And I said, well, we got a dog. He was like, well, you're allergic to most dogs. I'm like, no, I usually don't live with dogs. I'll see a dog from like an hour or so and like whatever, but I usually don't like always play with a dog or touch a dog or have dog hair on me. So my doctor was like, well, it might be like the living dander with the dog or like something that's in like the dog's saliva or something like that. She's like, oh, do you like, obviously you play with the dog? I'm like, yeah, like bring him out and like I pet him and play with him and stuff. So she's like, oh, so it might be that. And the problem that sucked, like I would have like battled it out a little more. I kind of figured it out, but I think what it was, in order to get like a refund and like there was like a certain amount of time where everything can go like be easier to bring the dog back and find the dog a new home is with what was in that like 3 to 4 week period. So we had to make like a really tough decision. It was like, all right, battle it out, and then maybe like I'm super allergic to this dog, and then it's like a year situation. Like, do I have to just get like super medicated up when I don't have to take medication beforehand to keep a dog, or do we, give the dog back and try to give the dog a chance to find a new home and be just as loved by another family? And we came with the second option, and we ended up giving the dog back, which was very heartbreaking. Even in that short amount of time, wasn't even a month. Never mind like years of having a dog. But on the good side, because I asked the lady when we brought him back, says, please keep in contact with us if he gets adopted. Let us know. And he actually got adopted to a family that had another dog. So like now he's having a good time, has a little playmate and stuff. So it was a good ending. But like,
if I remember correctly, though, I think Rachel tried taking a page out of my mom's book because you guys tried. I mean, she tried. I know she was trying to push you to the medication, but also we tried doing like the air purifiers. We tried doing. I mean, you guys tried everything, and then now she's trying to see if she could talk you into some alternatives. I mean, I found out, and we were talking about this just before the podcast. This is why Sierra was saying a few minutes ago that she has the hyperallergenics up. But I also found out that there's the Dr. Evil dogs, which are the hairless dogs. Those must be freaky. So they're hairless dogs. I mean, it'd be perfect for your situation, man. All you gotta do is you oil them up, a little bit. You could plot to take over the world with them.
I mean, true.
You can get a doodle.
I don't want a doodle.
You can get any kind of doodle.
I don't want anything mixed.
Why don't you want a
I don't
doodle?
want anything mixed with a poodle.
Why?
I don't like poodles.
Odie's half poodle.
I don't like Odie.
Well,
Wow.
rude. You can get but a burn doodle. Come on.
No, I don't like those like little like lap hypoallergenic dogs.
They get bigger.
You see, I think a
Doodles are big.
I want if I'm gonna dog. The problem is I like
anything mixed with a poodle.
I like the medium-sized dogs. Like I like the terriers. I like
Poodles don't get huge.
it. I know, but they're usually like small little like lap dogs. I don't
You can
want that
get a
either.
Bergamasco Shepherd.
No thanks. That thing's a mop.
You can clean your floor for you. Just put some like pine sol on them.
Yeah,
Like, I think a part of it, if I was to really like,
it's like Tony's dog.
if I was really to internalize and like examine myself, if I was to like do like a psychological study of why I had such a thing about animals, of trying to push and project out the way I felt about the dog when I first went to the vet with Tex. I think it was a way to protect myself from the hurt that you feel. Because let's be honest, part of it when you think about it, and this was kind of brought up again to me. So like my kids ask for animals, and like my instant response was always like, nah, we don't
Only
need
a
any
matter
animals.
of time before you get another dog.
Well, yeah, she's already started, but let's think about it. I remember as a kid.
Keep her away from Rachel when she's looking at dogs.
I remember as a kid, like, so we had the cool cat, and then of course at some point the cat has to pass. We've had dogs. We had like other animals. As a kid, I had parakeets and stuff like that, which is funny. I was afraid of birds, so I had the parakeets. I admired them from a distance because I was afraid to go next to them.
My dad had a bird.
But it was one of those things where it's like, and then the animals have to die. So I think at some point it came to a thing where I internalized this thing where it's like, well, if I don't get animals, if I just don't like if I put it where I just kind of callous myself against the animals. If you don't get them, you don't have to worry about the dying part of them,
You
right?
don't get sad, yeah.
You don't get sad
if they die.
And so it's one of those things where you start to shelter yourself. So when finally when it came time for Tex, I was harboring this thing where it's like trying to protect yourself. And then like I remember like when it started to happen, we were actually camping, and my mother-in-law was at the house and the kids were having a good time, and it was actually on a birthday. Aiden, whose birthday was it for Tex? Was it your birthday or was it Haley's birthday?
Yeah,
It was
I think
Haley's birthday, right? Yeah, actually, it was Haley's birthday because we had everybody coming up for some birthday cake.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we ended up having to leave early. But it's like, but I remember your Auntie Jeff and Michelle were there. And
My Auntie Jeff.
I mean, your Auntie Michelle and your Uncle Jeff. I'm sorry, Jeff. Your Auntie Michelle and your Uncle Jeff were there. And I felt like this wave of emotion because now Nancy's telling me, she's like, well, we're gonna have to cut this trip short. We got to go home. It's not fair. The dog's really suffering, and my mother-in-law is telling me like we need to do something now. And I look at Jeff because they've known me forever and a day, and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? And he's like, it's okay, man. Like you could cry over the dog. I'm like, don't let my family see me like this. He's like, dude, it's all right. I'm like, what's happening to me? He's like, you love your dog, bro. It's totally all right. I'm like, no, it's not. What's happening? And so we go home and we had our time to say goodbye and then Nancy and I took the ride to the animal hospital and then it was difficult and then I again, like I started saying at the beginning of the program, it's like, wow, the grief was real because like I was at an age, like this dog had been with me through everything. He had been with me when we started dating. He had been with me when we got married. He had been with me when we had kids, bought our house. Like this dog had literally been through every major milestone of my life. And then, the people were just amazing where we took him, and all of a sudden we make arrangements, we get him cremated with this beautiful box, this paw print and all this stuff, and like just these mementos that we have. And then they send me this thing with it called the Rainbow Bridge, hence the name of the podcast. And it's a pretty poem, but I mean, it's really nice. The sentiment is real. I mean, like I appreciate the sentiment, I guess, like of what the Rainbow Bridge says about, the far side of heaven is a place called the Rainbow Bridge where the animal dies and has been especially close to someone. And it goes about how the dog is pretty much like when you're a kid and your dad tells you, or your mom and dad tell you like, oh, where's our dog? And he's like, oh, he went to the farm. He's he's at the farm.
My dad definitely pulled that on me.
Yeah, it's like then you grow up, you realize there's no real farm.
My dad actually knew someone who owned a farm. So like I genuinely believed him when he
Oh,
said,
you just put Joe over there? Okay, all right, okay.
You know, and it's like so like, you know, and there's this beautiful idea of this rainbow bridge, and it's like, you know, yeah, but realistically, you know, we come to this term where, you know, there's a part of you that just mourns the loss of this creature. And now, you know, and I was an adult and I was hurting, and I remember, and one of the biggest things was like, so the next morning Nancy and I were wrecked, and our kids were just solid. I mean, so me and Nancy get up the next morning and we took the day out of work, and the kids were home because they were still on summer vacation, and we come downstairs to our living room, and the dog's pillow was on the ground from where we used to chill and lay down next to our back door. And we're walking past it, and I'm trying to grab a box so I could put it in a box and put it downstairs. And I just start to weep in front of my children. And then Nancy comes to give me a hug, and then she starts to weep. And before you know it, we have these 4 little arms wrapped around the kids. And they're not crying. They're consoling us. It's okay, Mom and Dad. It's going to be all... They're telling us, it's going to be okay. So I'm looking at them like, how did this happen? The roles have been reversed. They're consoling Mom and Dad now about their, you know, and we're adults and we're processing this, and then, you know, now fast forward, I'm like, okay, so, you know, and I told Nancy, I says, that's it, we're done. We're not getting no more.
Right.
I went back, I reverted back to like my childhood mentality where I internally, nope, if I don't get any more dogs, if I don't get any more animals, I don't have to worry about ever going through this pain again, you know. And I think that's where I had gotten like that callous, so like where I had like this outward expression of like this disdain for animals. It's not that I didn't like the animals, it's that I just didn't want to feel that pain, right? Meanwhile, fast forward a few months, and again, Jeff, Michelle, and your parents, Joe and Michelle, look at me. They go, "Give it a few months. You guys will have another dog." And give it a few months, you'll have another dog. And of course, then Zoe comes into the picture, and then you broke her when you babysat, which is cool. But I mean, you know, so and that's, you know.
I find that hilarious though, because Josh the whole time was like, "Oh yeah, I'm not gonna be watching the cameras. I'm not gonna be watching the cameras." And then he said like, "Oh, I saw you sleeping on the couch with Zoe." I was like, "How'd you know that, Josh?"
Checking on the dog.
Checking on the dog.
How's the dog doing?
Well, the story of Odie was basically like, so we got Odie from, not our proudest moment. We got Odie from Perfect Puppy, but I refused to leave this store without Odie because he was in this. Odie was a tiny puppy, so Odie's tiny. So like, you guys on the camera can see me. He was like this big as a puppy at 7 months. He was very tiny. He didn't even fit in the cage that he was being kept in. Like his leg was like up a wall, and like he was like on his side. He just couldn't fit. And I told my dad, I was like, I want that one. I'm not leaving here with that one. And my dad was like, well, we're kind of just here to look. And I was like, I want it. I'm not leaving. So I call him my Save-A-Lot dog because he was the cheapest dog there. But we brought him home. And my thing with like the people are like, oh, adopt, don't shop. Those dogs aren't asking to be bred. So like, and if those dogs aren't adopted, they're just going to be killed or let free or let go somewhere. So that's why I'm kind of like, yes, adopt, but at the same time, it's not the dog's fault that they were bred. Like at the same time, that's not the point though. This is the story of Odie. So yeah, Odie was very much like, oh, we're just going to look. Like we're not actually going to get anything. Yeah, Dad. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work when
now
you
I have
get
Odie.
dogs.
Oh, your dad.
Me and
should
Odie
know
are
better.
besties.
Oh. I don't know. All I know is I was over the weekend. I was heartbroken. More, like I said, I wasn't as emotionally attached to Moose because, like I said, he wasn't really. I didn't really spend much time with him. I mean, he was Haley's. I mean, Haley spent every day, every waking moment with him because that was her BFF. But what killed me was, you know, this kid was wrecked. I mean, I thought I was wrecked when I lost. You know, my dog. I mean, this kid. I mean, I was up the night that he passed away. I mean, this kid was like pacing till like 3-4 in the morning. I think she fell asleep not because she was, you know, not for any other reason that she was just sheerly exhausted from crying and pacing. I mean, she was wrecked all weekend. I mean, however, she has kidnapped my dog now because she slept with her dog every night. So now all of a sudden, my dog's been sleeping. And I could hear Zoe being like, when can I go back to my room with Mom and Dad? You know, like... She's
going to start sleeping with the lizard.
Yeah. So so now she's been you know, and I was like, well, you know, you got the Rainbow Bridge. She goes, but Dad, I said, I know what I told you, but just hold on to the poem for a little while, like, you know, but. You know, but she's been getting so now my mom and dad made the mistake of being like, oh well, you know, where do you want to go today? And she's like, the animal shelter. You know, so she sees.
Oh, they got that new one too, the new big
So
one.
they went on an animal shelter tour. So they went to like Pawtucket ACO. They went to like East
That's where we
Providence.
got cannoli.
Yeah, and so they saw at Pawtucket they saw like this salt and pepper set of dogs, meaning two puppies.
Oh no.
And she's like, we should get them. They belong together. They could. Oh, and then she looks at my mom. She's like, but they would make my heart so much better. I'm like,
Master manipulation.
So I don't bring a grieving kid to go look at more
yeah,
puppies.
I'm like, and they're like, well, what do we? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why you would take this kid who loves it. Because for those of you who don't know us, my daughter is like an animal lover on steroids. I mean, everything from guinea pigs to, I mean, you name it.
All
Guinea
types.
pigs to lizards to snakes to snails to, I mean, she's collecting bugs, you know, whatever it is, you know, she loves it all, you know, she loves it all. I don't know.
Yeah, that probably was not the smartest move on the grandparents' part, but you only make them mistake once.
If I could have every animal, I would. Except I'm not a huge lizard person.
I wouldn't mind a little lizard.
I don't
But
know.
I've always wanted a chinchilla.
You and the chinchilla, and
I've
wasn't it like
always
the,
wanted a
didn't you want the bat too? What was the gliding bat? What was
Oh, the sugar gliders.
Is that a
I
squirrel?
like, essentially, I like the small animals that like look exotic. I like exotic animals.
Exotic
So
rats is what you like.
pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge guinea pig person though, but I think that's just because they make
You got a
annoying.
hamster.
They make annoying noises. Hamsters are useless. Hamsters die in a year.
I mean,
You want emotional trauma? Get a hamster.
Mm.
They sneak out of their things. They get stuck in their tubes.
keeps you on your toes at least.
They're traumatizing. You know how many horror stories I've heard of people like, yeah, my hamster got out and I can't find it. Never gonna find it
So
again.
what are you doing here?
You're
Should you be
gonna-
looking for
should be
your
looking for
hamster?
your hamster.
I don't know, but look, it's one of those things where we take reprieve in these small like look at I'm gonna go on a tangent for just a second, all right, and it wouldn't be a temporary insanity podcast, so I was just talking about how I believe in these, and I believe in these animals being used for so many different. I believe in animals being used for so many different. I believe in service animals as well. I have seen firsthand how dogs can be used as for anxiety as like a service animal. All right, I believe in it. I'm not dogging it. I'm saying this so I don't get like hate mail from people, but I will tell you this, okay?
It's gonna be about therapy animals.
I believe in therapy animals. I do. Actual
Oh, you're going on
therapy
emotional support animals.
An actual emotional support animal. An actual trained, certified, licensed emotional support animal, okay? But I was at PPAC the other day, okay? And this individual had a dog, which was cool, because I'd like to take my dog to PPAC. I mean, my little dinosaur is not prepared for that kind of crowd, but this person had a dog that had an emotional support animal collar on, and I thank God that my son, because my son's been taught that when he sees a puppy or a dog in public, what do you do, Aiden? You politely ask if you can pet the dog. My son loves the dogs. My daughter loves. And what do? We ask permission, right? We ask the owner, hey, can I pet your dog? You know, we make sure we ask permission for it. We don't just walk up. So, but we also taught our kids, like, hey, if it's an emotional support or if it's a service animal, you see the gear on, like you see the collar, you see the vest that says emotional support animal, whatever it is. You don't touch that dog. That dog's working. It's supposed to be, or supposedly, allegedly working. Okay?
Allegedly on the clock.
Allegedly, it is an emotional support. So this individual walks into the PPAC Theater. That is the Providence Performing Arts Center here in Rhode Island, where we go to watch Broadway shows. And we see this person bring this dog. This dog was not, I repeat, it was not and it was a fraud.
Was it like acting bad?
It was acting very poorly. It was a fraud. Dude just wanted to bring his dog. I'm sorry, this individual just wanted to, I'm not trying to call them out, just wanted to bring their dog into the P-PAC. And P-PAC, shame on you.
Well,
no,
the thing,
P-PAC, if P-PAC claimed to that person, yeah, that dog's not a service animal, they'd be on the news. So P-PAC, their hands
I'd
are
be
tied.
wanting to see papers.
So-
I'd be like, where's the papers?
the unfortunate thing with that is people can only ask like 3 questions when it comes to service animals. It's like, are they an actual service animal? Like, what are they for? And so, like a third question. I don't even know if you can ask what it's for, but you can only ask 3 questions, and nobody's legally required to show you papers.
I would want to see document. I'd be like, listen, your dog just peed on a pole inside the P-PAC. It is not a service animal. That is lesson number 1. Do not pee inside the place that you're servicing.
So there's
the
this
animal.
person that brings in their quote service dog, and the only reason I'm saying quote is I'm not saying this because this specific dog can't be a service animal, but it's like very important to the story. He is a very large German Shepherd, almost the size of a wolf, very scary looking. And on his little vest that says, "Please do not touch me. I'm an emotional support animal," or "I'm like a service animal," it also says, "I will attack your dog if it comes near me."
That's not proper. That's not proper
That's
training.
not a
Number one
trained
thing,
service animal, then.
you cannot legally get your animal trained as a service animal if it is mean to other animals.
Right. I mean, when was the last time you seen a seeing eye dog chase another dog? Or pee inside the building that it's taken its blind person around to?
I'm like, I've seen this dog go after other. It's mean. It's not nice.
I'm just
It's like not a nice dog.
I'm just saying.
also-
just saying.
I'm like, why do you feel like you need to put the vest on to bring this dog into a pet store?
Right, you can just
It's a
take it to the
pet store. You don't need an excuse.
You don't even need an excuse to take your dog into the Home Depot. I mean, most places now, a lot of stores nowadays are like, yeah, cool. Bring as long as you clean up after it, you can take
The
your dog
only
inside.
store I don't really support dogs going into is grocery stores.
Yeah,
'Cause I think it's gross.
If it's wrong food, and then no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't need your dog.
When I
feces
worked
or
at
any of that around
Shaw's,
there.
people would put their dogs like in the shopping carts.
Nah, it's gross.
And I'm like,
Right. I don't need to be putting
Ew.
my peaches there and stuff.
so I'd like make it my mission to go back to take their cart and just wipe it down. Like,
No,
this is
that's too
disgusting.
much. That's too much.
I'm just saying. But I mean, that was my rant. So you know who you are,
Oh, I
Mr.
get it.
P-PAC man.
Like
And
even
P-PAC, you know who I'm talking about.
even if your dog is in training, like I know someone that has a service dog in training right now, and he's 2, and he like isn't fully trained yet, so he's still kind of rambunctious, but like there's levels that you're supposed to bring there's dogs places. Like it's like, oh, stores, and then like you upgrade to restaurants, and then
Not to
like,
a full
I
theater.
feel like theater is like the last level.
That's the boss level.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the last like
Theater or concert.
yeah, it's like the last place where you should
That's
be
not
bringing
like
your
day
training
one.
service dog. And usually their vest says in training too. It usually doesn't just
This
say
one didn't
like,
have a vest, man. I don't know. I'm just saying.
if I had a service dog, I'd totally get him a dope vest. I can have a service dog.
I would.
They're just super expensive for no reason.
I would.
Like $23,000.
But again, I'm not saying this to dog. I believe in but believe me, the science supports it. I've seen it firsthand. Especially with anxiety. A properly trained service dog for people with anxiety, the way it just melts the anxiety away.
My
I believe
thing
in
with
it.
service animals is I'm a believer that any animal can be an emotional support animal.
Yeah, it can be an emotional
Because
support
like
animal. but-
therapy animal, no, that's like a whole thing. That's like basically a dog being a trained psychiatrist. But like emotional support animals, people are like, oh, he's a trained emotional support animal. That's every animal. Come on.
I mean, what if it's an animal that, if you're upset, makes you feel a little bit better? It's
Yeah.
technically an emotional support.
Like, am I gonna get emotional support from a gecko? No.
You
But
don't know
you
that.
a
might.
dog, probably
I
every
might.
dog will give me emotional support.
But the thing is, see, here's the thing. All right, rant number 2 for this program. Cats are devious. Outside
cats.
of Tigger, Tigger was cool. She was
Love
like
And
Garfield.
cats.
outside of boots.
Love
And
cats.
but they're plotting. Like I feel like they sit and they wait.
Do you know I found out that cats, like, if you die in a house with cats in it, the cat genuinely like thinks about eating you.
You just made my point.
Well,
But
yeah,
a dog,
that's survival.
a dog will just lay by your side.
Survival.
But a dog will just lay by your side, and he'll mourn the loss of his master.
I'm just saying, if I die before Wyatt, you have my permission to leave me there and let Wyatt eat me.
But why?
Let him feast.
But the thing is, if you die, Wyatt's probably the one who killed you.
He's like, damn, I'm hungry.
If he kills you and eats you, that's a whole different
I'm
level.
just saying.
If it's an opportunity to eat, then it's like, oh, she died. And
I
I'm
just
hungry.
feel
So
like cats
I've
are always plotting. And I'm
definitely-
sorry to all you cat people, but I just feel like they always, the way they look at you, they're always plotting, and they feel so entitled. Like they look at you and they're like, you need to serve me.
I mean, to be fair, in historic times, cats were like royalty.
I don't know.
that's true.
Maybe it's in their blood.
There's
to be
just nothing
entitled.
like the loyalty of a dog. I mean, a dog.
The loyalty of a dog and the royalty of cats.
Yeah.
A dog. There's a reason why they say dogs are man's best friend. And then pretty much, I'm allergic to all the other animals. I'm allergic to all the little furry creatures out there, so I can't have them as any
See,
support.
I used to be like a dog person through and through, but I think as I'm getting older, I'm like, but cats are just so easy.
Just don't become the crazy cat lady.
I'm not.
Don't be-
I do want another
You
cat.
can't have more than 2 cats.
I do want another cat, but I
You
don't
get
think
the third
Wyatt
one. I'm
would.
gonna start worrying. Me and Will are gonna have to come over.
Are
and
you
have an
okay,
intervention.
Siri? You got a
well,
third cat.
actually,
If you start getting the figurines and stuff, like,
I think if I get one more animal, I need a kennel license.
oh jeez,
That seems complicated.
Well, because I know that you
have like
legally,
the health department coming through.
I know you legally can't have more than 3 dogs without being considered a kennel, and you need licensing for it. But I don't know if like that's like including cats. Like if I have 3 dogs and a cat, do I need a kennel license, or is it just dogs?
When are you gonna have time to take care of these? You're gonna become a high-powered attorney.
They take care of each other.
I'm just saying.
All I need to
I'm
do
just
is
saying.
scoop some food in their bowls.
I'm just saying,
Make sure they have
Joey.
water.
Joey needs to find someone to settle down with that can take care of Cannoli for him while he's taking care of his travels. All right.
Cannoli and Odie have each other. They don't literally. They would be
And
totally
who's-
fine if I was
and-
never
and
home.
Who says your dad's gonna let you take Cannoli? I mean,
My
Odie.
dad already said I was taking
don't
Odie,
know.
and then he's
Your
gonna
dad
get a
said-
different dog.
Your dad says that, but your dad, you know how your dad is. Your
I don't
dad-
remember which dog he said he was gonna get. He was like, "Well, when you guys are moved out and all the animals are gone, I'm gonna get myself a pretty little like Australian Shepherd or something like that."
I don't know, because your dad and Odie's kind of, you know your dad. You know how your dad be. Your dad, he tries to be tough, but he's soft in the inside. He's like.
Oh, I know my dad loves Odie,
Odie's his boy. You know?
but I think my dad also knows that Odie and Cannoli can't be separated at this point.
I don't know. I'm just saying. You're gonna be a high-powered attorney. You're gonna be busy
I'll
in
bring
court.
Cannoli to the courtroom with me. Like, try fighting me now. Do it.
That's gonna be he's gonna be your mascot.
I'll teach him how to growl on command.
Objection, Your Honor. Roof.
He'll chuff, and everyone will just cower in fear. He is a very mean-looking dog, but he's the sweetest out of all of them.
Yeah.
Except when he killed a squirrel.
You know what's scary?
Yeah,
You know what's kind of sad, and I do appreciate to all of you who follow my Facebook pages, especially my personal page. Whenever I post about my dogs, y'all are like, you roll deep. Those are like the highest posts that I get. But like,
Dogs.
I had like an incident not too long ago where I was injured physically, and only half of you reached out. But then like I posted about one of my dogs, and you're like, "Yeah, what's up?" Like,
Injured physically? When were you injured physically?
I think it was something stupid, but I'm just saying. I'm just like I have to go back. But there was like the point that I'm making is have you noticed like someone can get shot and they're like, "Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible." But like
A dog is killed.
A dog is, and they're like thousands of people.
Because people love pets more than people.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that where people can advocate for themselves, animals can't advocate for themselves.
I
So,
mean, I'm not against it. Like I'm just saying, like
oh no, I don't
like-
care. Talk crap about me all you want. Talk crap about my animals. I'll fight you.
You know, like the illustrations, like, oh, there's 2 people on this track and 5 people on this track. And you have to pick like which set of people dies. If there were 1,000 people on one track and 1 dog
I took
on
you
the other,
Well, I'm killing the thousands
90%
of
of the people would be like, oh, the people gotta go.
Well, okay, the thing I say all the time that if I hit a dog with my car, I'd feel significantly worse than hitting a person.
Yeah, because I mean, to some point, a person shouldn't look.
If
like
I
this.
hit a person, I'd feel
I've
guilty.
lived-
I'd feel bad. I think I'd move on. If
I've
I
lived
hit a
through this.
dog, I might give up my license.
I've lived through this. So when I was a kid, not hitting a person. They're like, you've lived. Josh, are you the guy that?
I was
hit
gonna
that?
say, it's like, when'd you run someone over?
So when I was a kid, I was sleeping over a friend's house, and we were leaving. They had picked me up, and we were leaving to go to their house, and we were driving, and this dog was running loose, and this friend's father hit the dog, not intentional, but the dog was running loose on it was like a mini highway, and so we pulled over and we did everything we could, and the dog, it was like one of the saddest days in my See,
That's
you guys,
where it stemmed
you guys
from
are
right
peeling.
there.
You guys are peeling these layers back of the psyche of why Josh has been so protected against animals.
I don't know what
One
it is
day
about it.
you were
I think
6, your friend's dad killed a dog.
I think I was probably like 11 or 12, and so and that dog died in our arms, and it was like the saddest day, and so you're seeing why I've been so good. Like, this is why I started to develop this shell exterior.
I don't know what about
animals,
it.
you know?
Like, I don't know why we feel so much more guilty hitting an animal. But
I think
if
that's
I
the
see a
same thing you said,
squirrel
like,
in the middle of the
defend,
road,
not
I will
defensive.
swerve.
But that's natural. Most people do. But then now, like, since those stupid commercials came out where the squirrels give each other daps in the middle of the road, like, now I feel like they're plotting against us too.
I've come to full stops in the roads to let raccoons cross.
Yeah, you see ducks and stuff, you stop. You got to do it.
No, like,
Ducks
I
are
mean,
like, ducks are cool though.
No,
Like,
this
they-
raccoon wasn't even in the road yet. Like, he was standing on the side looking longingly, and I stopped, and he wasn't moving because he was scared I was going to hit him. So I took a piece of food. I think I had crackers or something, and I just started throwing the crackers on the other side so he
Come on.
so he'd walk, and then
But
he
here's the
decided
real-
to go after
here's
the
real-
crackers.
How do you feel about the kamikaze birds? Like the birds that fly into your windshield, like those?
I mean, you
Not cool,
can't
man.
you can't fault yourself for that.
I don't
They-
fault myself.
they-
Birds.
Well, yeah,
are
you have the
evil.
hatred for birds.
You know,
I
they're
don't like
they're like
birds.
the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz. I mean, they're just evil. Like, and what are you gonna do? Like, you're on the highway and they come fly. Like, they do it on purpose. Like, they're trying to cost you the. I feel like they're on the payroll from Safelight. Like, they're coming to break your windshield so that Safelight can stay in business. But no, we say a lot. And there's been some humor. There's been some serious moments as we've talked today about it. But like, look. We go through these insane times, and every week we talk about how the world is just getting crazy, and we see like all this stuff on the news, and we do take for granted. And honestly, like, I feel like this episode has been kind of fun to kind of get to see, like, we've gotten to share a little bit about our love for our little fur babies, because that's like the number one thing that I've gotten on Facebook over the past or the socials over the past week was like, oh, I'm sorry for the loss of your little fur baby, and that's exactly what they become. We have these little creatures in our lives that tend to make our day-to-day just that much more enjoyable. Well, we do, Sierra and I. William will eventually have, because Rachel will wear him down at some point to
You
get
just
another
suck
one.
it up and get a doodle.
I'm not getting a doodle.
He's gonna end up with like a doodle, or
I'm not getting
or like
a
You're
doodle.
getting a doodle.
I would love to see with like one of the hairless ones, so you could be like Dr.
Absolutely.
Evil from Austin Powers, like
Absolutely.
trying to take over the
Get a
world.
hairless cat.
Yeah, for that, I'll get a hairless cat. Do a real supervillain
Or get
style.
one of each, man. Oh, that would be so awesome. Like,
One at the feet, one in the hand.
Those will be the worst animals
Like the
to
dog
pet.
can sit at your exactly. The dog can sit at your feet while the cat sits in your, while and you
If
gotta
I
get the
ever
pinky ring,
have a
you know?
hairless
It's a
cat,
jar
I don't
of like
think I'd
oil
touch
because
it.
you're all gonna be dry all the time.
But
I don't think I would ever pet a hairless animal. It seems awful.
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know how I'd feel about it. We'd have to.
You just see the skin peeling back because you're petting it.
But one thing that we do like to remember is we go through these things and we do get this relief. But I love what it says in Acts chapter 3, 19 and 20. It says, "Now repent of your sins and turn to God, so that your sins may be wiped away." And then in verse 20 it says, "Then times of refreshment will come from the presence of the Lord, and He will again send you Jesus, your appointed Messiah." I mean, we get these little reprieves while we're here on this blue marble. I mean, we go through our lives and we kind of drudge through it. And yeah, we have good days, we have bad days, we have times where we have trouble, we have times where we have to deal with the monotony of it all, right? Like the nonsense that we have to, like, Sierra has to deal with this nonsense of that her school puts her through with. She's
real.
gonna graduate. She's not gonna graduate. She's got credits. She doesn't have enough credits, or or,
real.
or the different things that we face in our jobs, or the different things that we face in social drama with friends and family. And then we have like these small little reprieves that we come home to these little bundles of happiness. You know, like I come home to Zoe or Sierra to Devil Cat, you know, trying to see if she's, you know, but we forget about the greatest thing that we have going for us, or the greatest opportunity that we have in this life, which is the gift that God gave us through Jesus Christ. That is our ultimate refreshment. The Bible teaches us that our spirits are renewed daily. What's that mean? That means, you know, no matter what you're going through every day, God wants to be there for you. God wants to give us the opportunity to start fresh. No matter how much baggage you carry, you know, He's there to carry that load with you. He's there to help you through those times where you feel like there's no gas left in the tank. But what you have to do first is you have to accept the gift that comes only through Jesus Christ, like we talk about week after week on John chapter 3, verse 16, where God sends his only son to die for you. Or verse 17, where it explains that he didn't send him here to condemn the world, but to give the world an exit strategy. Not that he sent him to condemn the world, but that the world through him would be saved. Kind of like the fire exit. The building's on fire. What do you have? You have an exit strategy. That's why there's a fire plan on every floor of your workplace, right? It's so you have an alternative plan so that when the building burns to the ground, you don't go down with it. Well, guess what? The world is burning to the ground, and we have our strategy. That strategy is eternal salvation through Jesus Christ. The Bible teaches us that though sorrow may last for the night, joy comes in the morning. What is that joy? That joy is Jesus Christ. I don't know where you stand today. I don't know, maybe your heart is grieving, your soul is grieving something. Maybe it's something like the loss of a pet like we just talked about, or maybe something much greater. But I do have news for you. I have a Savior that wants to help you through your grief. Maybe you're watching the world fall apart around you. Maybe you're afraid of what's coming tomorrow. But I have news for you. Don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow is held in the hands of our Savior. Think about it in the metaphoric way of the Rainbow Bridge. We have something better than the Rainbow Bridge. We have a promise that there's going to be a day where the trumpet will sound. And on the day where God sends our Savior Jesus Christ to sound that trumpet, the dead in Christ shall rise, and the rest of us will meet him in the air. And we'll spend eternity with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. There will be no more pain, no more sorrow. That's the promise that I hold on to. That's what gets me through every day. That's the promise that our Savior is trying to give to you. Do you want that promise? Reach out. We'd like to walk you through it. Well, that's all I got. What do you got? What about you guys? Any closing thoughts?
I think I'm good.
Go adopt a dog.
Go
Or a
adopt
cat.
a dog.
Or a rabbit.
Just
Or a
be
lizard.
careful. Make sure the cat doesn't
Or a
bamboozle
lizard.
Or a
you.
lizard. I advise against a lizard is all.
Well, I don't know if you find yourself in the North Providence area, but if you do, we'd love for you to come worship with us at Saving Grace Church on 1 Volturno Street in North Providence. If you can't be there in person on Sunday mornings at 10:30 for our worship service, you can check us out how?
Sorry, I'm just thinking about how bad I have to pee right now. You can go to facebook.com/Josh, I'm blanking.
Saving Our Eye.
Saving
Check
our
out
eye and go to our live stream, and also on YouTube.
YouTube, Facebook. Check out our socials at Saving Our Eye. You can check us out live
So
on Sunday
tired.
mornings at 10:30. You could also come to our Bible workshop at 9:30 a.m., same location, for our in-depth Bible study with Pastor Floriano. And we have some news. Our youth group at the church is trying to get a segment together where they want to talk to their peers, Generation Z and Generation Alpha. Did I get that right? Generation
Zalpha.
Z. So they want to call it, it's called Generation Zalpha. We're going to have them as guests on our program on in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks,
I'm
that's gonna
leading
be-
that episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our very own Sierra will be taking point on that. We'll be here just for support. But on October 13th, the episode airing October 13th, we'll have, it's going to be called, the segment will be called Real Talk with Gen Zalpha, where we'll have a bunch of young people on the program with our fearless youth leader, Miss Carol Delmonico, who also happens to be
My grandmother.
her Mimi. That's right. So don't miss that episode. If you have friends, family, children who are in that middle school, high school age group, have them tune into that episode. We are going to be addressing things that are affecting them, things that they're facing, things that are going on in their schools, things that clearly I will not understand, but our very own Miss Sierra will hopefully have a lot more.
Maybe not. They're all young Gen Z. And like they're young Gen Z and old Alpha.
Well, I'm old, not
I'm kind of like
close to Z or Alpha.
I think I'm technically beginning Gen Z.
My kids are both alphas, so
Your
I
kids
mean,
are both
I'm,
Alphas, but
I'm out
Haley's
of touch.
old Alpha because she's the oldest year for Alpha.
So check us out. Tune in a few weeks on the 13th of October for that very special episode where we'll be hosting them right here in studio. It'll be interesting to say the least.
Well, actually, not right here in studio. We'll be in the church.
No, we're gonna be here.
I
We're gonna
thought we
bring
were
them right
doing
here.
it at church.
No, we're gonna bring
We're
them
gonna
right
need
here.
more mics.
I'm gonna wire it
I'm
up,
gonna
man.
need more chairs.
Yeah, we're gonna wire. They could stand. They're young. They got fresh legs. But we'll be wiring it up right here in Will's house because they'll be having service at the church. So we'll be too much noise over there. But so tune in for that. And outside of that, we will check you out next Friday. Check out our website www.temporaryInsanitypodcast.com or check out our church www.savinggrace.church. God bless you.
Peace.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. New episodes drop every Friday at noon. Have a question about our faith or the insane times we live in? Go to our website www.temporaryInsanitypodcast.com and record a voice message. It may end up on our show. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our YouTube channel at Temporary Insanity Podcast.